Yes, yes, yes. Do your thing. This will need to jump several times over here on this end. That's better. Make sure I can actually connect that. That would be ideal. Now, if only I could actually draw a straight line, that would be great. That would be great. Ta-da! Gee, I hope I have enough belt. Wow. Yeah, I did actually need to conserve undergrounds. And I did not carry any with me. Interesting. I cannot believe that I ran into a train. A little bit ago. I actually ran my car into a moving train. Damaged the fluid wagon. Yeah, we'll bring that up there. We'll have to bring this up here, and then... actually, no. There. Why? Because... that. That is why. I will need to unstack. Oh wow, it actually it's powered. Yay. I will need the same thing. Right there. There we go. One down. Several more to go. I really should add another station and ship ash, add another station and ship stone, add another station and ship gravel, add another station and maybe ship sand, although I really hate that concept. It's like, but I'm mining stone. But I can mine stone on this playthrough. I am allowed to do this thing called mining stone in this particular playthrough. I can totally do that and get infinite supplies of stone, and therefore infinite supplies of saline water, and therefore infinite supplies of all the things that saline water is used for. Okay, you are coke. Let's get coke brought in from all the way over here. Ew. How do I... So I can do this in a way that uses undergrounds, and I can do this in a way that doesn't use undergrounds. Oops. Oops. Lots of oops. Lots of oops. We are very clearly doing this in a way that uses a maximal number of underground belts. This gap is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. Sadly. And that will provide the coke that I need for all of those processes. Hopefully. And then there was zinc. And then there was zinc. Stacked zinc. I can barely see. But I need this zinc up here. Also, probably would have been a better idea to stick this here. You know, that would have been That would have been nicer looking than kinking. Anyway. There we go. This will clear. And then I can do that. How to avoid clogging up your inventory. That's one way of avoiding clogging up the inventory. So, of course, these need to be unstacked before they can be used, which I have already set up. Just have to get this belt brought over right there. And that's that? I think that's that. I can't believe it. That's outside of actually setting up the oxygen. That will be that. Otherwise, this will just completely back up until it gets oxygen. So, how much oxygen? 112.5. 112.5. So 5. 5, yes, 5. 5 is how much water? 375. That's fine. That's fine. That can exist right there. Yeah. The great thing about electrolyzers is it's no solids in and no solids out. Just need to do the logistics on the thingies. You know what? Nah. 50 is close enough, as long as I have at least 5 gas vents. That will work out lovely. There we go. We should have enough oxygen made in time for all of the stuff to do their logistics. The glorious logistics. Oh. Stretch. Time to stretch. So I think we're done-ish. Have to route belt from the plates down to the station, but do I need nickel immediately? Not really. Would it be nice to have it? Sure. Have it in the station? Yeah, sure. That would be, I guess, ideal. I'm pretty sure I am stacking. Why did those exist? I don't even. Bunch of random ghosts. Hi, random ghosts. Ghosts for active provider chests. I guess I pushed this button and did a thing like that at one point. Yeah, nickel plate supply 1. Nickel is green. Nickel is like green-ish. At least the sprite is green. Yeah, dark green. I have insert stuff here. I can work with this, I suppose. Maybe not there. That will work. If I bring in stacked nickel. I just hope that I have enough belt to do this. Will this work, actually? I don't even know. I have enough undergrounds for one jump. One whole jump. Oh, hey, it's stacked nickel. It's non-zero nickel. It exists. I've got nickel now. Yay. It's nickel. It's nickel. We've got nickel. Celebrate. We can make nichrome now. Absolute celebration. Yes, there's an odd number. Somehow there's an odd number. I don't know where the other one is. I don't know where the orphaned thingy exists, but it's somewhere. Orphaned. And alone. You can actually very easily get an odd number, especially if you do, like, this trick, with putting stuff. Say you have a mixed belt, and you want only what's on this right lane, you can do that as a way of getting only what's on that right lane. And that's one way that you can end up with an odd number. So remember about not having enough belt. If it's not one thing, it's another, isn't it? Can I be tricksy? Can I do tricky things? Not with the number of belts that I have access to, underground belts that I have access to, I don't think. No. I would have to go all the way around this, up and over with 219 units of belt. That's not gonna work, so I think either way I have to go back and get more stuff. But, hey, we're operational. We are an operational battle station, I suppose. As long as these are all outputting fully, looks like they are. As long as these are all outputting fully, looks like they are, and as are these. Outputting fully. As long as this is avoiding fully, it looks like it is. And we've got our wonderful grade 4 nickel going down the line. Everything is awesome. I should actually just put a warehouse up there. Oh, right. The car will have trouble going through these belt boxes. This one in particular. Yeah, warehouse. Make sure that things stay moving while I'm away. And yeah, this will, do stuff. Hey, Pyanodon. Welcome! You've made a stream. It's been a while since you've made a stream live. Even though I do know that you watch the streams afterwards. Yes, it's a somewhat sufficient amount of nickel for now. It's a somewhat sufficient amount of nickel for now. It is 46.9-ish nickel. Have I mentioned that once you do figure out how to work with Helmod, it is convenient? More convenient than doing stuff on paper, but you sort of do need to know which recipes to add to the lines, which is why I'm glad that I gathered an idea of what the chains are without using Helmod. so at least I know the processes that I need to put into Hellmod. I hope that's all for Nichrome. Most of it is, I'm sure. I'm sure most of it will be used for Nichrome at some point. I need to decide where I'm going to do Nichrome. That's the other point to make, is I haven't necessarily decided where I'm doing the Nichrome yet. Take these and head on back to wrap that up. And once that's wrapped up, I think I might actually take a break. I feel the need that I need to take a bit of a break a little bit early today. Unfortunate when that happens, but it happens. Fortunately, it's ended up at a reasonable time where I'll have finished up something, a nice natural stopping point here now that the nickel is operational, and then we can start work on the rest of the stream, which will be only partly making our way into Rayon. We will get a fractional way of the way into making Rayon during the stream today. Fractionally. There's no chance that we will actually see any amounts of Rayon today, but we'll try. Just gonna bring this up to that warehouse that I just placed. There's that. That will load the train, then I have to set the train to go to the depot, and then we're done. Train! Let's not get hit by a train. That would be a terrible idea. Oh, speaking of train, I will need to actually grab a train. I think, however, before sitting at this train, I do need to run, most likely, to take a bit of a break. We are taking our break a little bit early today. I will be back in a few minutes. Whew. I have returned. I have returned, weighing probably about 2 pounds lighter-ish, maybe. I don't know. Let's see if that has to happen again. So I mentioned earlier in the stream, at the beginning of today's stream, that yeah, my stomach was making somersaults. I wasn't feeling all that great. Still not exactly feeling all that great, but yeah, I'm not surprised with this turn of events, to say the least. Now, if only my rock finder would actually turn itself off on occasion, that would be great. I'm getting a little bit tired of rocks existing. Do I have right here, right in front of me, right in front of your face, with the wagons. Here. Do the thing. That is not the thing. Stuffs? You. Yes, you. There we go. Just add fuel. Add nickel. So many stations. Nickel plate supply 1. Until you have full cargo, and then nickel plate depot 1. Supply 1, depot 1, circuit-ish thing. And yeah, do that thing, and it will go and it will refuel at some point. In fact, it can go. You can go there, do that now. It should have enough fuel to get there. To get there, it should. And this will just fill these in the meantime. The bulk rail loaders. I should probably not have that much of a buffer, but we'll have a bigger buffer. Sure. Nickel is needed in very large quantities. In case you didn't know, nickel and zinc are needed in very, very large quantities over time. So, what exactly is next? I guess it's Rayon. Yes, it's Rayon that's next. We are now mining zinc and nickel and a whole bunch of other stuff. We now need to be able to mine molybdenum as well as rare earth ores. Molybdenum and rare earth ores are going to be required. This process will involve the process of making rayon will involve needing to make sulfur. There are various ways of getting sulfur. There happen to be a lot of resource nodes for sulfur on this map, so I will be mining sulfur on this map. I've got plenty of that. Now, I think the sulfur mines need a regular fuel, right? It's just normal fuel for sulfur mines. If I am remembering correctly, the last time I mined sulfur in the off-the-rails stream before I completely migrated away from that type of conventional mining. How many times have I hit this rock? It's almost dead, this rock. You know what? This rock can die. Thank you. Thank you for dying. I rammed the rock to death with my car. An interesting thing to note, by the way, rocks don't recover hit points over time. Trees do. Trees actually get repaired over time. They repair themselves. They regrow, shall we say. They are living entities, and they actually do recover their health. So, these are sulfur mines. Want to make sure I grab all the ones that I currently have. I'm going to want to improve my buffers of some stuff, so... Rayon. My rayon block. Rayon requires a lot. At this phase of the game, I cannot do the slacked lime loop for sodium hydroxide, as I said earlier. So I have to do this. So I'm going to be doing this stuff with the major use of salt. I will need some form of sulfuric acid, which, again, at this phase of the game, I'm unsure exactly which method would be easier to get sulfuric acid. I don't like spending iron, which is why I'm tempted to do acid gas, but again, at this phase of the game, what access do I have to acid gas that would be reasonable? That is the question of the century. Now, the syngas methanol, refined syngas, that is a way of getting refined syngas, but Tholins? No. Coal bed gas would require drill heads of some description. So yeah, that's... I'm just gonna spend the iron. Just screw it. Screw it. Iron. We'll do this with the vanilla. The vanilla way. If we're gonna be mining for sulfur anyway, right? If we're going to be mining sulfur anyway, may as well process some of that sulfur into sulfuric acid to use for this. So that's a total of 14.7 per second of sulfur per 1 rayon by doing this in this way. Do I need to go any deeper on this, or are we, like, fine now? Right, the propene. There seems to be a slight problem. Or there was a slight problem that I had a little bit ago when I put the propene recipe on here. Yeah, when I had set this to be 15 per second, it was like trying to give me 28,000 propene or something crazy like that, like 68 gasifiers, with a huge excess on the output. There was some bug going on there with Helmod. That's why I had set it to like 2.6%, but it looks like that has repaired itself. So now we're getting more accurate values here. This is a low enough amount of coal that I will produce this coal locally. Otherwise, I will need coke in. None of this, like a lot of this, is going to be individual factories producing and outputting onto trains, individual trains with individual stations and yards and all of that good stuff. I will not be doing all of Rayon in one singular location. This will be distributed a bit. However, I will note that things like the carbonyl sulfide can be made with the rayon at the location of the rayon, because this only gets used twice. It gets used once in rayon and once in things. Z3 reagent, which gets used in silver lead processing. In the process of making high grade lead/silver. Those are the only two uses of carbonyl sulfide, so really this can be made locally when you need it, in this case with rayon. But things like, well, the ammonia can be made locally. That's just urea, which will be fiber and mushrooms. This is fine for being made locally. The sodium carbonate gets used in a few other things outside of rayon. Glass and vanadium, it looks like, uranium processing for it. Never mind. Just glass, okay. So it will be used in glass as well, so I think I want to have this separate, because this will also be the location where I make sodium sulfate, which is going to be used in, all of the reduction, most of the reduction processes, as well as in phosphate glass, fiberboard, starch. Yeah, it gets used in several things. Glass fibers as well, which are very important. So that the sodium sulfate gets used in a fair bit of stuff. Bisulfate only is used for sulfate, so that'll just go away once I transition to the alternative method of getting sodium sulfate, which is this method that uses sodium hydroxide. But because I don't have the slacked lime recipe, I don't have the slacked lime recipe available to me yet until coal processing 3, I can't do that, so I have to do the other one, because I think that ends up being better than getting sodium hydroxide through saline water electrolysis. I hope that makes sense to some degree. As for the fiber, the raw fiber here, I have to think about how I want to set this up. This will use lamps. I don't know if I actually just want to make a factory that makes lamps and puts them onto my network, because lamps do get used for a few things. It might make sense to put lamps onto the train network. Have a yard of lamps, basically. Um, Otherwise, sand, clay, and CO2 can be made locally. The lamps are the complicating factor here because they are iron, copper, glass. Iron, copper, glass. So I would need 3 extra input. I would need 3 input trains, essentially. I would need to request iron, copper, and glass trains to my fiber production if I wanted to make the lamps locally. I mean, I could do that. Or I could do that with... I could do that every time I need lamps, but how often am I going to need lamps? That's the question of the day. How often are you going to need lamps? Well, you need lamps for hydrogen chloride, for one. That's a big use of lamps right there. And fiber, and then stuff on the mall, stuff in your mall. Fiber, guar, which, God willing, I will not need any of the drilling fluids that guar makes, that guar gum is used for. God willing, I won't need any of these drilling fluids in this playthrough. We shall see. The idea is that I won't need any of them. Now, the other thing is that I am making lamps already at my mall. So it might make sense to add lamps to my train network, add a station that loads lamps from my mall, and not have to worry about adding anything separate for the lamps. That's another idea, especially since I already have this belt lane that has lamps on it. This belt, by the way, goes out to make HCl in the niobium processing stuff. So that is that, as they say. I don't really know exactly what I want to do first. What can I do first? I don't know. Nor do I think I care. It's stuff. It's stuff. Now, propene. Propene is the other thing here. What is propene otherwise used for, outside of maybe combustion? Acrolein, later. Carbonyl sulfide. I will not be doing this process for phenol. It's used in crystallographic substrate. That's important. That's very important. Propene will be made locally. I'll have to have an input of lead. If I have an input of tar, I can get syngas just fine. Or I can just make this amount locally. I mean, this will need to be scaled as I scale Rayon, but just think I could do syngas fully locally, and the steam is meaningless to me. But yeah, this will be some lead. I'm currently making 30-ish per second of lead. I actually forget. I'm making an amount of lead. As you may know, because I've got 5 yellow belts of lead being converted into lead dust processing, giving me silver as well as lead. glorious lead. That's slowly filling this warehouse with stacked lead. Oh, and this is actually filling with stacked silver. Yay! I like seeing that. I did some limits here. These are not actually full. They're not actually full, and the trains are also, they also have limits for the silver. Just bear that in mind, because 5 yellow belts of lead. Yeah, they make they're making a hole of up to 1.5 items per second on silver, like just under 1.5 per second of silver from, you know, that much ore. It's not really that much ore because that's not fully processing it. It would be more like 2.5 ish, 3, somewhere along those lines. If I was processing all of the dust into silver, I could probably add a couple more of these at least. But either way, I'm wasting time now for no real good reason, as we do around here, as we tend to do around here.